everybody, and welcome back to the Bay Bolts channel. As always, my name is Jake Ricker, alongside my co-host Michael Wax. Michael, we have a little bit of lightning news to talk about as Steven Stamkos was placed on the COVID-19 list, and there was a lot of confusion going around. So I wanted to clear things up. And actually, Steven Stamkos just put out a tweet about the situation just after we had recorded this for the first time. So we're doing this one more time, but his tweet does clear up a lot of confusion. How you doing today?
I'm good. It does suck that we're going to be without Steven Stamkos for a little bit of time, whether or not it is the COVID uh, news that we'll get to or the current injury that he's dealing with. But we'll talk about both of those things as they come up.
So let's start off with Stamkos' tweet and the COVID situation. I'll put this tweet up on screen right now. Stamkos tweeted just recently. He said, "Thanks to everyone who has reached out. At this time, we suspect a false positive test. Hopefully that's the case, and I will be back on the ice in the next couple of days. Until then, I will continue to follow the NHL COVID list protocols." So one of the things people thought when this originally came out, were they wondering was, did he go see a specialist and have to be quarantined because he went out of the league protocols or league set up doctors, something to that extent. People were really wondering what it is. This tells us that somehow, some way, he went into his regular testing, which players have to get tested all the time during the season, and he got a positive test. So this does mean that technically he is said to have COVID, but they're hoping it's a false positive, which tells me that Steven Stamkos more than likely does not have symptoms. That's not confirmed 100%, but when you usually say it's a false positive, that's what I would assume that to be. So hopefully that is the case, though, and he can be on back out very quickly. He's going to have to get a couple of negative tests in a row before he can be cleared off the COVID list.
Yeah, so basically, he's going to be out no matter what for Saturday's game, whether or not he tests negative or not. He is dealing with something else, and we'll get to that in a minute, but he might not play a single game in this series against the Panthers regarding whether or not he tests positive and he's going to be out for 2 weeks or has to test negative multiple times and is out both. I believe it's Saturday and Monday, which is the third game. It's either Monday or Tuesday. So if it's on Tuesday, he might be able to play against the Panthers, but he might not be able to if it is on Monday. It's very complicated. Not a huge fan, but this is sort of the situation that we're dealing with as the NHL as a whole with the COVID list. And Jake, a lot of people are ragging on Florida and Tennessee and Texas and all these open states saying that the players are not being careful. And while you could say that's the case with a team like Dallas, who had that COVID outbreak, the Lightning have been very careful in what they've done. They've been very careful in who they've been around. There was a picture going around of the Tampa Bay Lightning all together to watch the Super Bowl. Well, everybody was wearing masks. They were being very careful on what they were doing. So I have no doubt in my mind that if this is not a false positive, or if this is a positive test, it's only going to be one positive test, and that this is not a reoccurring issue because we've only had 3 players on the COVID list at all, and only 2 of them have been on the list at the same time, and that was for one day. So I think the Lightning have done a really good job of making sure that the players are following protocol and they're doing what they need to do.
Correct. They're one of the few teams that have, not had tons of games canceled. Well, they've had games canceled and rescheduled because of other teams, but they themselves have not had a plethora of players that have gotten COVID and had to shut things down. That did happen to them in the bubble when things were first getting started up. But as of this season, they're absolutely, from what we can see, following protocols to a T and doing a very good job of it. So that's a positive sign. And again, the fact that Stamkos thinks himself that this is hopefully a false positive and that no one else on the team has even been put on the COVID list means that this was more than likely not an outbreak within the Tampa Bay Lightning organization. There could have been, one of Stamkos's family members or friends potentially that got it, and he was, near them, and that's how the original positive came up. Only time will tell. We'll have to wait and see how these tests continue to go. I'm sure we'll find out here in the next couple of days. But Let's talk about his other injury as well, Michael, real quick. He is still dealing with a lower body injury, which he was listed as day to day. The one positive thing is a lot of people were worried that if Stamkos did go to a specialist, and that's why he was on this COVID list in the first place, was that that could mean that lower body injury was actually much more serious than we initially thought. But because this is a situation with having a positive test, this tells us that he did not go to a specialist or anything like that. So more than likely, this is still a very minor injury, and he should be back very soon. And it was just an unfortunate situation for him.
Yeah, and Derek Lalonde, the Lightning's assistant coach, mentioned that if this was a playoff game, he would have played. So let's not pretend like this is a big injury that we need to be worried about. Uh, this is probably fine. Like, players get dinged up all the time. If this was a game of importance, I think Stamkos would definitely have played. But I mean, come on, the Lightning right now are 9-2-1. They were 9-1-1 before the game last night. I'm not saying that everything is sort of peaches and cream, but they do have some breathing room in terms of a playoff spot. So uh, I think this year they're focusing on making everybody or keeping everybody healthy before the playoffs start, and then once the playoffs happen, they crank it up to 120%. So that is, I think, where a lot of fans should look at right now. They lost for the first time in 6 games or 7 games against the Panthers. But overall, I think the Lightning fan should be very optimistic when it comes to Steven Stamkos being out of the lineup because it was for nothing, basically. Hopefully, this is not a recurring injury, but again, sounds like it's nothing.
Yeah, and that's the good news. And obviously, we don't know that for sure. And when you're without Nikita Kucherov already, I'm sure that you don't want to lose any more superstars than you have to. So, guys, that's going to do it for us. Unless Michael, you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
No, just get healthy, Steven Stamkos, please.
Yes, we all hope you are all okay and everything gets back to normal very soon. But guys, that's going to do it for us today. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell as we will keep you updated on this Steven Stamkos situation, so you don't want to miss any of those videos. Hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day. And remember, your Tampa Bay Lightning are your defending Stanley Cup champions.
The Bolts.